Welcome back, everybody. I'm Chris and I'm back with another Project 39 video, and this one's a little tougher than most. This is a subject I didn't know if I would go toward or not, but it is something that I've been through and have some pretty good knowledge in the subject, so I thought I would pass along maybe a couple of tips that help me. Now, what am I referring to? Dealing with the loss of a loved one during the holidays. I've got a little bit of experience in the matter. I lost my father to cancer in 2004 and lost my mother in 2008. And so holidays in particular have brought about a drastic change over the last few years. That change is not always easy to deal with. I've made it through the bulk of the difficult times, I believe, and if you're struggling with this at all, I have maybe just a couple of things you might want to listen to that may help you out as we approach, the holiday gatherings and those times where we all used to get together as a single unit and celebrate life and love and happiness. My first tip is don't romanticize the past, please. In my case, my parents were wonderful people, but they weren't perfect. Nobody is. And I do know of a couple of folks specifically who have lost people and view those folks that are gone as being perfect and overlooking maybe some of the faults that they had. And I'm bringing this up for a specific purpose, and that is when we hold that loved one up to an unattainable standard and something that they never actually were, it makes these family gatherings, these holiday times, that much harder, because as we try to move forward and try to celebrate in their absence, it becomes harder and harder because that loved one is held to a standard that can't possibly be reached. So the only thing we can be left with in their absence is that holidays aren't as good now as they used to be. And, that's going to put stress on you. It's going to put stress on your families. And frankly, it just was never true. We had great holiday celebrations, and I will cherish those memories forever. But I'm not going to put either one of them up on a pedestal and say that holidays were perfect with them, or that the holiday gatherings we have now aren't as enjoyable. Sure, I wish my parents were still around to celebrate with us, but sometimes life's not fair. I don't have an answer for why it's the way it is. It just is. And the best way to start dealing with that is to understand that, while we love and cherish them, they were not perfect people, and to pretend in our heads that they were is doing a disservice to both us and to their memories. So, remember the good parts, but don't forget that there were bad parts, and hopefully that helps moving forward into celebrating new family traditions and building new bonds with family members and friends. Another little piece of advice is don't focus or obsess on regrets. I remember thinking, I wish I would have called more. I wish I would have visited more. I remember those thoughts very clearly in my head, and they bog you down, and it can happen quick, and it can be a hard thing to pull out of. And the best thing I can tell you is try not to focus on that, because whether you did everything maybe you should or shouldn't have doesn't matter now. Once that person is gone, you can't fix it. So there's no point in dwelling on it. But I will say this, you can use that negative energy, those regrets, as a positive influencer for you moving forward. Take that energy that you are spending or that you may be spending on the regrets you might have, and figure out how to change your behaviors to help the relationships you currently have. Whether it's with siblings or with another parent or whatever the situation might be. If you feel you didn't communicate enough with the person who is now gone, or didn't tell them you loved them often enough, here's your chance to fix that by focusing on the people you still have and building those relationships and rectifying those regrets with those people you still have. Don't seal yourself in a vacuum. Don't stop talking to people. I know when you look at social media right now and you see your friends or even other family members gathering and having fun and sharing their pictures, that can be a hard thing to look at if you've suffered a loss recently. It's easy then for you or for me as that person to just bottle all that stuff up because, well, they're having fun. They don't want to hear about my problems. And you can't look at it that way. If you need to get something out, you need to find that person that will allow you to do that, whether it's a brother or sister, a spouse, a close friend. It doesn't matter whether or not they've been through the same type of loss that you have. What's important is that you're able to express your feelings and get those on the table. And nobody's going to have the fix for you. Just because you talk about it doesn't make it better, but talking about it will lift some of that burden off of your shoulders, and then that friend, that other person in your life that you've been talking to may understand you better and why your attitude has been different maybe for the last week or two. And a pastor at your local church, I realize not everybody is into the church thing, so I didn't lead with that, but that is certainly a valuable resource. And maybe if you haven't been to church for a while, maybe this is an opportunity for you to get back. There are lots of people around you that love you and care about your well-being, and the best way for you to show that appreciation is to find a time to get some of those feelings out if you're feeling bogged down by the weight of the holidays and the loss of your loved one. One of the last thoughts I'm going to leave you with is all of this takes time. You don't get over it really ever, but you will get past the hard parts. I was watching Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer the other night, and I got a little tear in my eye. And that's kind of ultimately where I decided that I would do this video and do a blog, because even, 12 years later, I still had that instant flashback to childhood when everything seemed perfect. And it was a wonderful and sad moment for me to just kind of embrace. So I'm just saying that to point out that you never truly do get over it, but you will get past the hard parts. It just takes time. And don't get down on yourself. Don't get down on others. But do try to keep a positive attitude throughout, because that's going to help you more than anything persevere through the tougher parts of the season. I also know this time of year, there's a lot of fun alcoholic beverages out there at Christmas parties and at family gatherings or just on TV. And it's easy, if you're feeling down, to look to alcohol or drugs as a crutch to help you get through. And I'm just going to tell you, don't do it. Don't rely on that. You know in your head it's bad. I'm telling you too, it's bad. The occasional beverage is fine, but using that as a coping mechanism is just going to prolong your suffering and make it harder for you to get past the tough parts right now. Instead, maybe look towards some exercise and a regular sleep routine. And I'm not suggesting going out and getting a gym membership, but taking a walk and, like I say, eating healthy and getting a regular sleep schedule. All of those things are going to do more good for you as you move forward than will any alcoholic beverage or another type of drug. I'm also going to suggest, if you've recently lost someone, take something with you. Take something of theirs if that opportunity is available to you. I have right here, you can see it, that's my father's high school class ring, class of 1958. I have worn this ring every day for at least the last 10 years. My reason for that is so I don't forget. Not only forget who he is, but also forget the kind of person that he wants me to be. And I use those things in my life. I have a couple of items of my mother's, and I have various things from people in my life who aren't around anymore. And I use those things not only as a remembrance, but as motivation for me to take the best parts of that person and try to make them part of myself. And use those things, even if it's an old photo, as a way for you to use their energy to be a better person. Because that's what they really want for you in the end anyway. Your friends, your family that may no longer be with you, they don't want you to dwell on the past. They don't want you to dwell on the fact that they aren't there. They want to be loved and remembered for who they were, and in an honest sense, not in an idealistic sense. It's that it's okay to think about the loved ones that are gone, but think about them positively, and don't let that be a way for you to get yourself down, because getting out of that spiral is awful tough this time of year. So, cheers to everybody who's been through loss recently. I'm praying for you. I'm thinking about you. And I hope you have a happy holidays. But remember to love the ones that are around you now, as well as the ones that have recently left you. Have a great holiday. And if all else fails, please go out and get some professional help. There are lots of resources available in your area, so please look those up and get some help. I've got a bunch of other videos that you may find helpful or interesting. Please feel free to subscribe to my YouTube channel. It doesn't cost a thing. Or check out my blogs at the39project.com. Thanks so much, and we'll talk to you again soon.